Hey, this is an introduction to a particular choice for a fiddlestick, which is a reasonably common tool in canyoneering in order to cleanly do a descent. Um, the design change lets you use a much smaller pull cord, so this is just a parachute cord here. It's also much safer than I think many choices are. So basically up here, that's supposed to be the anchor point, so whatever thing you wrap the rope around. And then on this side is the descent side, so one of these is short and the other one is long. So here's the short side, the long side goes on forever. You of course rappel off this side, all right? And then in the current setting, this is the way you would have it set up. I'd call it the safe way. So what's interesting about the way this is tied is if you pull on this, it will not come out. And also, and I see this a lot about what I see for how people put like a safety clip on this side, it actually won't go either way. You can't pull or push this thing out as it stands. It's just stuck there, okay? So, and the other advantage here is if you use a carabiner to lock off your stone knot, this is the stone knot here. Unfortunately, then when you remove the stone knot, you loosen, when you remove the carabiner, you end up loosening the stone knot, which could make the whole thing slip and fall apart just when you want it to stay together. So with this design, you actually don't do really anything to the main knot, which is supposed to be tight. So probably many people rappelled off it already. So it's a very tight knot right now. And you wouldn't want to mess with this and pull out a carabiner or something like that, because you'll just loosen it all up, which makes it easier to pull a fiddlestick, which is a bad thing. But this, there's just some half hitches. I unwind all of this. Just takes a sec. And then it's got a single wrap on the other side, comes back, and now I have a pull cord, all right? And then it is quite standard. So an interesting thing about this particular fiddlestick, I'll pull it out, but it's actually slightly narrower in the center compared to the two ends, which are symmetric. And so the tendency, just under pressure, is that it wants to stay centered. It also makes it a little bit harder to pull, but it's actually pretty straightforward. So you pull it out, of course, and then there's the removed knot, which then falls apart and lets you extract the rope, right, and remove everything. So now, this is the fiddlestick. And what's interesting about it? First, it's quite lightweight. It's small. It has a triangular cross section so that it's strong, but doesn't end up weighing very much. So it's not a giant falling object or anything like that when it falls down. And it has a sort of nice minimalist design. It has just a tie off there, so it has two ends. So if you bung up one end, you haven't lost it. You just have to tie the other end instead. It works perfectly well on both sides. Let's see here. So this particular knot on this end is called a poacher's noose. It's actually a slip knot. So I'll pull it loose a little bit. You can look up how to make a poacher's noose. So it's very easy to tie, and it snugs up against that side like that, and it makes a quite strong knot going through the eye. And the other thing about this knot is, in profile, it's about the same size as the fiddlestick. So it seems it's quite unlikely that this knot will be the reason it somehow jams up when you're trying to pull it and it somehow gets caught. It's quite a small thing anyways, so it's not likely to get caught anyways, but if the fiddlestick will come through, the knot will come through. So that's again, that's called a poacher's knot, and it's a slip knot that I'd recommend you learn how to make if you want to tie this kind of thing. So let me show you how to put this together, okay? So this is the end, there's the pull end, right? Put the rope back up here. maybe the other thing. So it's a little hard to make out, but in fact, I don't think you can quite see it. It's quite subtle, but there's an arc to the whole thing. So it's slightly narrow in the middle compared to the two ends. So it's just not likely to slip out. It has a tendency to want to center as opposed to slip on either side. Okay, so let me show you how to tie that off. So this goes around whatever your anchor is, right? And then here's your standard stone knot that you want to tie into right there. Okay, so you put the fiddlestick through that, and of course you want to tighten that up so that it wouldn't want to slip out, right? And so the first repellers, of course, there's no reason at all to have them risk having that come out. And so a lot of times you'll see some carabiner sort of style backup. I guess I'm of the mind that that style of a backup will loosen the stone knot, right? Which is what you don't want, especially right at the end, which is the most important part. So okay, so here's the end. It's tied through there, right? And this is snug, so it doesn't have any give there. So what I do is I go behind the stone knot and just wrap the other end of the fiddlestick once, right? Like that, and then just pull that tight like that. And then on this side of the stone knot, I just start wrapping and basically essentially creating a prusik, a friction knot. So I just wrap a bunch of times. And this twists up the pull cord, but it doesn't matter because once you take it off, it takes all the twists right back out. So it doesn't make any difference. So just twisting it like that, and then until I'm pretty much near the end there, and then all I do is put 2 half hitches in the end, 1, 2, like that, and then that's tied off like that. Okay, so what's great about that knot? So, you know, it should be tight because that's just what you want, right? So, but the knot now is being held together on the back, so it really can't splay apart at all. So this is being all held tight with the rope. This rope on this side is tied directly to the loop on this side, so it really can't go that way, so you can't accidentally have the fiddlestick pull out. Sort of no matter how hard you pull on this thing, it will not go, okay? So even if somebody trips on the line, it's not going to come out that way. And then if you push on it, this sort of friction knot on this side just doesn't let it come out, so you can't push. And again, so this thing is essentially creating a prusik knot that locks that down, so it can't go either way. So it's an anchored knot on either side, and that seemed like a great choice, right? So now people can use this to rappel off of. It's not going to go anywhere, so this is going to stay. So it's a secured knot, and then when you're ready, you just take it off. It's a couple of half hitches to loosen it up, which shouldn't be a problem because it's not taken any load at all in ideal circumstances. So you just unwind it on that side, and make sure it's free, right? It should just be free of tangles down below, and then you're ready. So of course, tighten that up, and again, the nice thing about this fiddlestick is because of the shape, even without all the rope to protect it from slipping out, it has a tendency to want to stay in the middle. Even if it's being shaken around, it would like to just be there. So even if it's a little bit loose, it'll pull a little bit and then it'll just jam back up again right there. Okay? So then when you're down, you just pull it out. And of course, because it's got a slope, it kind of sticks a little more toward the end, but it's actually pretty easy to pull. Comes out. So there it is. Nice fiddlestick.